Hey folks, in this video you're going to see how Spider-Man fought the Avengers. In the streets of New York, Spider-Man found himself surrounded by the Avengers comprising She-Hulk, Blade, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Thor, and Black Panther. And as far as he knew, they were all being mind-controlled by an individual called the Grand Manipulator. Spider-Man now had in his possession the said device called the Resequencer, and this device could reshuffle a person's thoughts without their awareness, and the mind scrambling had happened in a previous fight. Luckily, Spider-Man had a friend at the university who could deactivate the device and free their minds. At first, Captain America played along like he was in support of the idea, but there was a bigger problem looming. They all suspected that, like them, Spider-Man himself was being mind-controlled, which was a valid point. But Spider-Man saw through their obvious craziness. Wasn't that exactly how a mind-controlled person would think so as not to be freed? And to prove how deeply the mind control went, Thor calmly approached Spider-Man and asked him to hand over the device. However, Spider-Man wouldn't give it up that easily. As such, they would need to fight their way to it. On the flip side, Spider-Man would rather not face off against the Avengers, as he believed he would likely lose. So reluctantly, Spider-Man swung into action, web swinging away, while Captain America called on Iron Man to handle the situation. As Iron Man approached, he urged Spider-Man to trust them since they were friends. Spider-Man would have loved to talk things through, but he knew he had to disable the device within the next 10 minutes, or they would all remain trapped indefinitely. But Tony's suit malfunctioned when he got too close. It turned out Spider-Man had shorted out Iron Man's suit. Spider-Man raced through traffic with She-Hulk in pursuit. She-Hulk believed there were things even the smartest person couldn't overcome, and she considered her right cross as one of those. However, Spider-Man effortlessly dodged her punch and leaped over her. In midair, the powerful Captain Marvel grabbed Spider-Man by the throat, demanding he hand over the Resequencer. Apologizing in advance, Spider-Man flicked something small into her mouth, causing a clump of webbing to obstruct her breathing. As Spider-Man made his escape, he assured her that the webbing would dissolve shortly. Swinging from building to building, Spider-Man caught Captain America's shield, thanks to his spider sense, and used it to crash through a nearby window. Inside the building, Blade awaited Spider-Man's arrival. And the duel was on, as Blade rushed in with an elevated kick, but Spider-Man evaded it with a backbend handstand. Blade narrowly dodged Spider-Man's extended fist and took the opportunity to strike his elbow into Spider-Man's jaw. Spider-Man held his chin, chuckling, and then retaliated with an even more powerful punch, knocking off Blade's shades. Frustration welled up within Blade as Spider-Man continued to bounce around. Soon Black Panther joined the party, and Spider-Man aimed a kick at him as he approached from the other side. Blade grabbed Spider-Man from behind to halt his bouncing, but Spider-Man countered by slamming the back of his head into Blade's nose, reminding him that bouncing was only one aspect of his abilities. Spider-Man skillfully avoided a head kick from Black Panther, who emphasized that they didn't want to harm Spider-Man. While Spider-Man was momentarily distracted, Captain America caught him in a headlock, urging him to trust them, as they weren't the villains in this situation. Spider-Man used his legs to propel both Blade and Black Panther away despite being held, and he managed to maneuver himself onto Captain America's back. Spider-Man was certain that they were still under control. Captain America then slammed Spider-Man into some furniture. At this point, Spider-Man was still in possession of the device alongside something else, like a grenade. When he tossed it, the grenade exploded, but it was only a web bomb, and it ensnared all three men in some webbing simultaneously. Spider-Man now leapt out of the window. Once outside, as Spider-Man continued to make his escape, he encountered Thor, who swiftly approached Spider-Man, holding him up by the top of his costume. Spider-Man greeted and bid farewell to the god in one breath. Apparently, he was as slippery and hard to catch as they come. Captain Marvel momentarily scanned the area. It seemed he had just disappeared or become invisible. She-Hulk wondered if Spider-Man had the same powers as Miles Morales. Finally, Iron Man caught sight of him as Spider-Man swung through the city shirtless. Spider-Man teased Tony about how silly he would feel once he realized his mind had been taken over by a lunatic with intentions to rule the world, while also acknowledging that they had all been in that situation in the past. Before Spider-Man could finish his point, Iron Man's repulsor blast severed his web line, causing him to skitter on the ground. Adopting a defensive stance, Spider-Man looked up at Iron Man, who warned him not to run unless he wanted to be blasted. Spider-Man appeared to stand down. Tony then commended him on the trick he pulled earlier by disabling the iron suit. Spider-Man jokingly mentioned that he had hoped to make it spider-shaped but ran out of time, suggesting he could do it next time. Iron Man responded that there wouldn't be a next time since his armor had already adapted to the device's glitch effects. At that moment, Iron Man's suit detected an anomaly, causing him to excuse himself briefly. Thor then offered Spider-Man his shirt in exchange for the contraption, to which Spider-Man agreed without resistance, appreciating the way Thor said, "contraption." Thor expressed surprise at how easily Spider-Man handed it over while Spider-Man dressed himself and played coy. Captain America now realized that Spider-Man had indeed swapped the device, and they began to wonder where the genuine one was. Spider-Man apologized to his friends, having already anticipated the point where they would stop him. He had actually passed the device to the cyclist from earlier and had merely kept them distracted long enough for his friend to work the required magic. Things became more desperate as Iron Man detected the energy signature of the resequencer, and Captain Marvel joined him, realizing that it was being activated. They urgently raced through the lab's window, reaching it just as Spider-Man's friend at the university managed to deactivate it. Captain Marvel looked around, curious about how everyone was feeling. As they surveyed the room, they all seemed fine, with their minds unaffected. Spider-Man entered the lab, once again asserting that they had all been mind-controlled as part of an elaborate plan. However, Iron Man interrupted him and projected CCTV footage from the warehouse fight the previous day, which his suit had automatically downloaded. Spider-Man became really confused because the footage contradicted his own memory of events. It wasn't him who collapsed, as he had previously believed. Iron Man then showed him more recent footage downloaded remotely from the same server a few minutes ago, which aligned with the events in the warehouse. This time, Spider-Man agreed with the events, questioning whether the first footage was fabricated. Iron Man clarified that both sets of footage were real and had the same timestamp. Black Panther noted that their memories had been altered once again, similar to what had been happening over the past few months. However, in this case, there were two distinct strands of reality coexisting within the same timeline. She-Hulk struggled to comprehend the situation. Spider-Man wondered if the coexistence of these two equally valid realities was intentional or a mistake, but his supposed friend assured him that it was all part of a deliberate design. Spider-Man called out to this professor friend of his, who confessed that his current identity didn't exist, or at least it didn't exist until yesterday. Spider-Man was shocked, because he was certain they had been friends for a long time. Suddenly, he realized that the person in front of him was the Grand Manipulator, who manipulated reality instead of minds. The man laughed, denying that he manipulated reality, but rather acknowledged that he tore it apart. It became apparent that he was responsible for the fabricated memories and altered timelines. Thor questioned the Grand Manipulator's motives for doing all this. The Manipulator revealed that he needed to keep them distracted and off balance, altering history whenever they came close to uncovering his plans. He intentionally led them astray. Astonished, Captain America inquired about the Manipulator's true identity. The Manipulator claimed to be a man with two minds, one of those being a human with unrecognized genius, and the other an alien dimensional explorer who possessed insights beyond mortal comprehension. With the resequencer back in his possession, he had reshaped their world according to his own desires. However, something went wrong. Spider-Man admitted that his memories of their friendship didn't feel genuine, prompting him to re-examine the device and make some adjustments, hoping his old buddy wouldn't mind. In a desperate act, the Manipulator rushed towards the device, only to cry out in agony as his alien essence was altered. Spider-Man now approached to check on his condition, utterly bewildered by the turn of events. Iron Man now decided to transport the object away for further examination. Feeling a sense of responsibility, Spider-Man felt the need to apologize to his friends, although technically he hadn't done anything wrong. However, She-Hulk interrupted him by placing a comforting hand on his shoulder, assuring him that everything was fine and that they were sorry too. This brought great relief to Spider-Man. He then personally apologized to Captain Marvel for the incident with the web in her mouth. Though she didn't meet his gaze directly, she acknowledged his apology. The observer, who had been following the events all along as they unfolded, was puzzled, wondering who Cap was talking to and what he was up to. Captain America acknowledged the cleverness of the plan, which involved introducing a new villain who conveniently took all the blame. The true culprit didn't want too many questions raised, as that could have led the heroes down a dangerous path of speculation. Now, in a state of panic, The observer realized that Captain America understood their strategy. Unfortunately, it was too late to stop the consequences of their mistakes. The longer the manipulation went on, the more they had to alter and control, making it increasingly challenging to maintain their grip. Perhaps they had become careless. And to top things off, Captain America, with daring in his eyes, pointed ahead and declared, "I'm coming for you, Beyonder." Remember to subscribe to our channel if you found this content valuable. See you in the next one.